Ladies and gentlemen, time flies by. We're already halfway through the season of the Open Grand League. We already have 3 steps down, we've got 3 steps to go, and step 4 is today. You may know the drill by now. Hundreds of players are going to duke it out against each other to get into the top 8 and potentially get a chance to qualify in the next Trackmania Grand League happening in the summer of 2020. Hello again, everybody. I'm Thomas Mengozi, aka GGeek. I'm glad that you joined me today for the cast step number 4 of the Open Grand League. The placement spins are about to start in around 5 minutes-ish, but we're going to take a bit of a different approach this time around because of what actually unfolded after the conclusion of step number 3. Now, for those of you who may not know what happened, there was basically a discrepancy that was uncovered between the seeding system that was described in the rules and the actual seeding system that was used in the game. Normally, the seeding system we used, described in the rules, would use the number of checkpoints crossed by each player on each map, along with the time used to cross each checkpoint to actually make the seeding and place everyone in each league. However, it turns out that the game the Open Grand League uses a skill point system, which is based on how fast you drive a particular map. While that may not seem like a big deal, it actually opens a lot of different wacky strategies that players were quick to point out. Eventually, a player could potentially try to risk one single map and get the best time he could possibly get and cross the most checkpoints the fastest he can on this particular map to potentially try to super save his way on the rest of the maps and guarantee himself a top 32 spot. So we're not going to cast the placements per se. We're still going to show the footage of the placements happening, and it will be still used to describe kind of like the maps that we're going to be playing today as part of step 4, but there's not going to be any kind of active cast. It's going to be more of a background until we get to one of the two top 32 matches that are going to be happening later in the day. So the reason why I don't really want to cast the placements right now with what has been unfolded is because I feel like it will be a bit too difficult to difficult to follow, which is already kind of the case with even with the older system, and still really difficult to understand, and more importantly, really difficult to understand and to explain to you guys so that you can actually see what's going on. It's becoming a little bit more difficult now. So, with that completely out of the way, let's actually start with a quick recap of what the Grand League is. For those of you who don't know, who just joined the stream, the Open Grand League is a competition that is open to everyone, and you can participate if you own Trackmania Stadium. This competition consists of 6 steps in 6 weeks, and at the end of those 6 steps, the top 8 overall will get their chance to face off against the bottom 8 of the Trackmania Grand League Winter in a combined match and potentially qualify for the next Trackmania Grand League season, which is going to happen in the summer. First of all, we're going to have placement matches that are going to happen. They're starting in 2 minutes right now. These matches are played in checkpoints mode, 3 minutes per map. The objective is for the players is to cross the most checkpoints within the time limit. Now we know that this isn't really going to be used for the seeding itself, as I just explained. At the end of those placements, players will be placed in 4 different leagues: bronze, silver, gold, and finally the top 32, which is what is going to be the most of interest for us. The league match then happens for each league, and these matches use the same format as the TMGL format. So, Champions Mode, the first 3 maps will be scores for everyone, or 3 get out of jail free cards, while the last 3 maps will be extremely important as you have to remain in the top 8, otherwise you will lose all of the points you have accumulated up until that point. The key things that change in between leagues are the number of laps run and the number of points per step win. So, in bronze, you only have to run 2 laps per map and win 3,000 points for a step win. In silver, that bumps up to 4 laps per map and 5,000 points for a step win. In gold and top 32, you get exactly the same amount of laps as in the Trackmania Grand League, so 6 laps per map. But what changes is that in gold, a step winner wins 8,000 points, whereas a step win warrants 10,000 points in top 32. With that out of the way, now let's take a look at the ranking after the 3rd step, which I casted with Eric Holdell. First in the standings is Gwen, just shy of the 30,000 point mark, the player from Team Game Ward, asserting his dominance on the Open Grand League leaderboard. Then in 2nd and 3rd, we find the 2 XLT Swiss teammates, Afi and Yannick, in that order. Bad Lulu, the French player, sits himself in 4th place. He's the only driver not to represent an organization, and he had a pretty rough time on DirectionLess with a triple respawn that cost him really dearly and cost him all of his points pretty much, as he finished in P12 at that particular map. In 5th place, we found Versatility's Legu, which actually made quite a big jump as of step 3. He was classified 8th after step 2 and managed to get a juicy win, 10,000 juicy points to the bank, and bumped up to 5th place as a result. Volnera for Team Exalti is then sitting in 6th place, equal with Hydra in 7th with the same amount of points, and on 8th place is Versatility's Tricky Legu's teammate. Now that we got the ranking out of the way, let's actually talk about the map order as this step is about to start. We got the placement starting, but we're gonna describe the map order first. First is going to be the last map of last week. It's going to be Up and Down first. The former Guillotine now becomes a get out of jail free card and a good opportunity for many people to score points. Then the second map will be Directionless by MD Point, the map characterized by those 3 no steers, including the one that was so costly to Bad Lulu last week. Then the third map will be MiniXXL, which is characterized by an uphill U-turn preceded by a no grip block. Then we get onto the 3 new maps for this step. WaveBreaker, which first of all is going to be WaveBreaker, which consists of 3 consecutive jumps in the dirt, which are pretty hard to clear. Then map 5 is going to be JustSkidding, which is a map which has the identity, has the honor of being the first map to utilize what I call the lead foot block, which we're going to delve into a little bit further once we get into the map. And finally, ContestDiving is map number 6, characterized by a grass slide U-turn that is surrounded by water. And a single error judgment of when to start the grass slide or when to land could potentially warrant a guaranteed respawn and 5 to 6 seconds lost at that point. So, we are going to switch right into the game and re-establish the game sound. There it is. So, this is Up and Down. We're currently in the familiar maps. As you can see, a bit of a refresher. We're towards the end of the first lap right now with Alpha from Team Next Events. He kind of gets a little bit of a moment there, trying to cross. The jump has actually followed Tricky, currently sitting 8th in the standings, and we're going to get to the jump for the first time. This is the famous jump that claimed no less than 5 players in the Trackmania Grand League Step 3 alone when this first map was played. So, currently Tricky having the best, crossing in at 1:14.847. See, quite an easy jump. He actually safes it and crosses it and actually hits the freewheel or the engine killer, instead of trying to go for it and potentially hit the wall on the one of the 2 pillars. Then he actually manages his airtime to land at the booster, then does the same here to land on the second booster, a little bit of a bank turn, drift early before the checkpoint in order to set himself up for the rather short dirt section with this tricky chicane right here, which caused problems for some people during the previous step, most notably Wozil, who lost a lot of speed coming out of the chicane. Then we go into the pre-identity section, which consists of this really tight turn on the platform, then a massive jump over there, clear the cables, clear the hump right here, and then a small jump here to rotate the car towards the right to set it up on the next booster, and then rotate the car once again for this hairpin, jump over the 2 humps right here with the booster, and then set up the car really nice and easy, go towards the outside and drop down right there until you land. And this completes a lap of Up and Down, so far with 30 seconds remaining on the clock for map number 1. So, everybody's still running pretty cleanly. Tricky so far in the lead with over 1 second of an advantage, 1.3 seconds over Nixotica, which was one of the surprises after step 1, ranking in the top 8 right off the bat. And he's currently sitting a little bit further down the leaderboard, but could we potentially see a non-European player make it onto the combined match? That is one of the questions that I'm actually wondering, and it would be actually one of the best things to happen if one player from another continent would be able to actually duke it out and qualify for the Trackmania Grand League. It's still the limelight from Carl Jr. from being the, as far as being the only non-American, only non-European driver to actually take part. So, map number 2 then, we've got Directionless, which was the map in which Bad Lulu lost so much last week. This map is made by MD Point and is characterized by 3 no steers. The first one is perhaps the scariest one according to the players and according to myself, having tried it firsthand. And yeah, you'll see why. So as they go on this downhill turn, then set the car right onto land on the dirt, then a long-ass U-drift for double apex here, and then here is the no steer I'm talking about. You're gonna aim for between those 2 pillars, and you can see Resto failing it right here. Any mistake could potentially either will at worst result in a small wall chip, which will reduce speed but still allow you to get through, and the worst is a full stop, and that would absolutely warrant your a respawn and lose you the best part of 3 seconds every time you do that. So it's definitely one of the most important no steers to get. This one, of course, is really important at the exit of this transfer right here. Aim it between the two walls, and then we get the third and final one, which is supposed to be the trickiest one, but actually people seem to actually have gotten this down fairly regularly. A 180 transfer right here, and land. Aim it towards the center between the two pillars, and then jump over here to cross the finish line, and then drop down immediately until this platform right here to gain as much speed as possible to get into CP1. So that is a lap of DirectionLess. Let me actually bring up my notes here. There we go. So DirectionLess has been running around the 107 to low 107, high 107s to low 108s ish. The current record is held by Massa in the Grand League with the 107.239. So far, so good. Tricky still on top of the leaderboard with the 1.2 seconds of advantage compared to Yavzo. Alpha is Alpha just a little bit further behind, a few tenths behind, actually battling with Suptimal from Team Insects. Then we got Mika, and then we got Snaptix also completing the top 6. Nizotika so far in P8 with less than a minute remaining on the clock. So far this is only kind of a refresher. We're only on map 2 out of 6. We're gonna get soon towards the 3 new maps. We still got we still got MiniXXL to go before we actually get into the maps 4 to 6. And yeah, so far there's not really much to say. Aside maybe from a mistake from Yavzo. Hey, he dropped from P2 to P5. He seems as though he has made a mistake, and he's actually a checkpoint behind Tricky. And he seems as though Tricky is probably going to have the upper hand at this point and have a really good seating position to guarantee himself back into a top 32 spot. Septimal currently in P2 and 5 seconds on the clock. Mika holding the honors for next event in P3. So Tricky will get easily. He will get the 1 checkpoint advantage nice and easy for this map, as we're going to be heading into map number 3, which is going to be MiniXXL. Alright, sorry, excuse me there. I was typing a few things in here. So, MiniXXL. Considered widely to be one of the easiest out of the 3 maps that were introduced in step number 3 last week. And this one is characterized by a by a grass slide. No, not grass slide. What am I saying? I can't even talk right now. This is such an insane amount of damage. Anyways, this is characterized by this no grip U-turn. I was looking for the right term. No grip U-turn, and yeah, we'll probably see different strategies employed by different players as to how they cross that one. Currently, Nixonica and Yavzo having a pretty good start, with Mika sitting right behind and Tricky not having the best start. Currently sitting in P5, but still within the right group, with Subtimal as well trying to make something happen, trying to make the plays. Currently overtaking Bresso, battling with Tricky for P4. So far, so good. As they all go towards the end of the track now, with this drop at 360 kilometers an hour, Tricky negotiates that beautifully. No drift for this part. Really well negotiated drop. Nobody catching the wall on the outside, and we're gonna go towards the identity right now. So see, there's a hole before that, and people will go towards the right side and then flick the car, get it drift into there before getting into the no grip, in order to slide the car towards the 90-degree angle, in order to actually steer the car with the with that side drift to get it down the hill, and manage the jump distance in order to actually cross the checkpoint and cross back to the finish line. Yavzo currently having a pretty good lead, currently 8 tenths in front of German driver Bresso for Team 300. Then a little bit further behind, we've got Subtimal, the first man over the second gap between Yavzo and the leader. And Tricky actually makes short work of him and actually overtakes him for P3. But Subtimal has not said anything else yet. He retaliates and overtakes Tricky for P3 and potentially overtakes Bresso for P2. Let's see who navigates the dirt better. Bresso seems to have done quite a bit of a good job here and retains his second position. But let's see how everything goes in the identity. With less than a minute remaining, Subtimal having not the best drop of his life and therefore is under the pressure of Tricky, who actually overtakes him for P3. MiniXXL also came back into the fight as well, currently sitting in P4, just behind Tricky. Let's actually see the identity. MiniXXL negotiating, going a little bit higher there. He's gonna drop a place to Subtimal, but with the momentum that he gained, he could potentially gain it back. But it turns out I have been taught to lie, because apparently Mika is jumping up the bit and overtaking MiniXXL for P5. Snatix could potentially... Snatix is actually a little bit far from MiniXXL to actually make something happen. And that's not gonna matter with 20 seconds left on the clock unless a big mistake happens by the big guys. We're gonna see that top 5 pretty much remain the same. Yavzo, Brevso, Tricky, Mika, and Subtimal. Actually, Subtimal could potentially make something happen in the last minutes. And actually Subtimal overtakes Mika. And that's gonna be 4th place for Subtimal in the end. Yavzo, Brevso, Tricky, Subtimal, Mika, Nixotica, Chips, Snatix, Alpha, and Fontour. Your top 10. Alright, the refresher has been done. Now, we're getting into the new maps. This is map number 4, WaveBreaker, and we're gonna be doing a little bit of Cam 7 if I can. Yeah, you can see the identity is this part right here, the dirt part. Now, if I unzoom a little bit, you can see it consists of a series of S-turns in the dirt right there. So there's gonna be this first jump to clear, then there's gonna be the second one, and then there's gonna be the third one right there. So, and then there's gonna be another jump to clear, which is this one, where you need at least 180 kilometers an hour in order to actually clear the jump and make it to the finish and cross the start line. So, now that we're back in there, let's see how the players get on with this. We're spectating Subtimal right now, the Belgian driver for Team Insects. The vast majority of people going for drifts, but Subtimal actually taking a wider line and carrying much more speed on the way in. A little bit of a dirt slide that gets, with all the remaining speed scrubbed off with the wall on the outside. Same kind of part here. Tricky having a bit of a big moment there, and he's going to drop down in the rankings, down in P11. We got this jump right here. People will jump on the left side with enough speed to actually clear the jump, and someone did not actually make it happen, and he's going to be forced to respawn. Then we got this wall right here, which doesn't have an automatic camera change, by the way, an automatic camera trigger, so you have to do it yourself. Then we got this, another one of these dirt slide, and then we go towards the inside of this. Actually Mika dropped a lot of momentum doing that. He was forced to overcorrect and drops a lot of places as a result. Then we go on to attacking the identity, entering the dirt part with this banked turn right here, go a bit over here towards to get more speed in here. So here is the first jump. Then we go to the second jump, which is going to be towards the right now for Subtimal. And then we're going to get to the third jump, which Subtimal is not going to be able to clear. And actually, Snatix actually tried to create it, but is not actually able to do it. He overtakes Yavzo, and now the final jump across the line, and Subtimal currently sitting in P5 with a 124.583. 122.962 was the best lap, and it's made by Nixotica, all over from the US of A. Quite surprising to see Nixotica having a bit of a regain in form so far, after not having a so stellar stepped map number 2, where he actually finished in 8th place, if I'm not mistaken, in the overall ranking. So far, Nixotica actually battling with Bresso, and he's not going to be able to have enough speed, and he's going to drop down 2 places right now. Bresso and Mika overtake him, and Yavzo as well, Tricky as well. Tricky making a good comeback after his flabbergasting mistake in the first lap to get back up to P4 from P11, and now onto this turn. Okay, everybody negotiates it. And actually Yavzo has clipped the inside wall a little bit. He drops a bit of momentum and gets overtaken by Subtimal as a result, as well as Tricky, and drops from P3 to P5. With 40 seconds remaining on the clock, Bresso is still in the lead in front of Mika, trailing Bresso by around 7 to 8 tenths, and Tricky actually getting into the battle now as we go into the identity now. First jump is cleared by everybody. Second jump, Bresso actually fails it, and he's going to be dropping down further and further. Mika and Tricky battling for the lead right now. as they go onto the final jump. Tricky with a bit of an advantage, and it's gonna be Tricky who crosses the line in first. Oh, actually, no, it's Mika for 0.02 of a second. He steals the lead after lap 2 with 10 seconds remaining. It looks as though Tricky will have made it, as though Mika could maybe have something to say about it. Let's see, 3 seconds left. No, he actually fails it. Oh, actually, Tricky fails it as well, but he's gonna retain enough momentum to actually cross in first. So Tricky remains in wins map 4 in front of Mika, Bresso, Subtimal, and Yavzo for your top 5. MiniXXL 7th, and completing the top 10 is Donli. Now moving on to map number 5, which is going to be JustSkidding. This one is characterized by a very first identity that we see using what I call the left foot block. So we're gonna delve into that right now. So what I call the left foot block is this block right here. Why do I call it left foot? Well, what it does is that it essentially pins your throttle down, so full throttle, and removes all of the brakes. So you're basically just gonna continue on accelerating until you cross the next checkpoint. And you see, this is a pretty tricky one to actually cross, because if you go on high-speed dirt, then you're gonna be ending up sliding in here. So it's gonna be really critical to actually manage the speed and scrub off speed when necessary in order to actually stay on the road and clear that narrow passageway. So we're gonna keep the camera 7 in here for the next for whenever people actually get into the lap here, and we're actually gonna be spectating someone else that's actually spectate Sheeps from Team Cena, as they are already working towards the... There's another peculiarity of this map. This grass section where everybody will have to clear the checkpoints. Let's actually see everybody clears them nice and easy. No 3 triangle strat here. First full checkpoint points, and then between the 2 pillars of each checkpoint. Whereas you could actually do it with the 3 checkpoints, Tricky going really wide here, carrying as much speed as possible to clear this freewheel, this engine killer, which can be cleared with a jump that is done at around 300 kilometers an hour. And then we're gonna go into the identity. We got one more engine killer to go right here before a steep drop down until the identity. Now we're gonna switch onto the camera here and see how everything fares. We got Tricky going for it as well. So everybody in the front still seems to make it clear. Yep, it seems as though we got no major... actually, Tseko manages to overshot the first turn, and that's gonna be pretty much it. The remaining dirt of the field seem to have gone pretty cleanly through it, and Tricky still in the battle with Yavzo. Yavzo having gotten a better ring, and that's gonna allow him to overtake Tricky going into the looping, and that's gonna allow him to take the lead momentarily, at least, but not for long, because Tricky is still there. He's still waiting to put the pressure on the Dutchman, and Snatix as well. Next event actually really well represented here, with Bresso in 4th, and then we got Mika then in 5th, sandwiching Bresso. And actually, Yavzo gets overtaken by Snatix, currently sitting in P2. Tricky has recovered the lead from Yavzo, and he's trying to pull away from the next event driver, with currently 0.4 of a gap between him and Snatix. Subtimal currently sitting in 6th. Then just behind we found MiniXXL from the US, who just narrowly misses the wall and nearly gets overtaken by Sheeps from Team Sina. Pontour currently in 9th, Donli in 10th. With less than 50 seconds remaining on the clock as we go to the identity a second time. From the point of view of Snatix, it looks like this. He clipped the inside, he clips the inside again. He drops another momentum, he drops 2 places down towards his teammates Mika and to Yavzo. So he's going to be dropping down to P5, Yavzo P3, Mika P4, but Tricky remains in the lead with 1.2 seconds of an advantage between him and Bresso, who managed to get back up to P2. 30 seconds left on map number 5 for this placement. Let's actually see a little bit further down the field. Joe currently sitting in 20th. We got Tseko currently sitting in P17, farther down the field than he should be. 48 seconds down on the leader, 12 seconds behind the next guy. Just say hi, and he could potentially get overtaken here. We don't really have much time to see, though, because it's going to be the end of the map, and it's going to be the map, top 5 we saw 30 seconds ago that's going to stay. Tricky wins map number 5 in front of Yavzo, Bresso, Mika, Snatix, MiniXXL, Subtimal, Sheeps, Pontour, and Donli, as we're about to head into map number 6, which is going to be ContestDiving. Now, we're gonna de-zoom the camera a bit, because that's the thing with this thumbnail cameras right here. So, here is the 2-part identity that I was kind of referring to. So this is the first part of the identity, which is a grass slide U-turn. You have to really judge everything really well in order to actually pull this off successfully and potentially clip the curb on the inside of the first right-hander to get a better spin. We're going to delve into that a little bit later. Then we got the second part, which is this U-turn right here, where you have to set up the car and then steer your car towards this one right here and steer your car to the left, so that landing onto the grass you get a sideways steer and then go into the bumper right here to actually scrub up the remaining speed to cross the start-finish line again. So we missed the start of the lap. I'm sorry, but I wanted to actually kind of explain the identity for you a little bit, just to give you, the tricky points of this particular one. MiniXXL currently having emerged in the lead in front of Tricky and Bresso. Sheep's currently sitting in P4, Mika in P5, and look at this. Next event, stacking the top 10. Half of the top 10 is filled by next event players. Mika in 4th, Alpha, Snatix, and Shots from 6th to 8th, and then Freeze currently sitting in P10, just behind his teammate Chad. Oh, and actually Freeze failing the wallbang right here and clipping a lot of the checkpoint, and that's gonna drop him down outside of the top 10. Now we're gonna follow Tricky on this first time through the identity for today. So he jumps right here, sets up the car nicely, and he gets the crash slide perfectly. He gets it the pretty much safe crash slide here. He does not go for the curb flip on the inside, and he side by fear of potentially overshooting and getting into the water. And here you can see he's landing sideways, scrubbing off the remaining speed on the curb, and in order to straighten the car and get back across the finish line with a 124.292. Tricky currently in the lead, half a second in front of Bresso, Yapso in 3rd, 1.7 seconds behind the leader, battling with Mika and MiniXXL. We got a pretty good battle for 3rd place here. Let's actually check it a little bit. Mika having a little bit of a landing on the fence here, and that's going to drop him down to P5 and potentially P6 as Snatix overtakes him. Yapso currently still under pressure from MiniXXL for P3. It's going to be up to the Dutchman to actually withstand the pressure from the American. Let's actually see how it fares in a couple of sections. MiniXXL with a bit more pace, trying to overtake him, but it doesn't happen. Let's actually see how everything goes in the wall ride, which is again a wall ride without any automatic camera switching triggers. Everybody crossing it nice and easy. Now into the wallbang section. Oh, actually, MiniXXL not going for the wallbang and going for the standard drift. That's probably where Yapso could potentially make a little bit more of a gap, and that's, you can see he pulled now to a 6/10 gap and allow himself to breathe a little bit. Now we're going to go back to the lead because apparently Tricky has done a mistake and Bresso has overtaken him, and Bresso is going to go for the risky strat with a wall clip. He gets front wheels off the grass, but he does drop a lot of momentum doing so. It wasn't particularly well executed, and that's going to allow Tricky to go back into the lead and cross the start-finish line in first again at the start of lap number 3 with 13 seconds left on the clock. That's pretty much going to be remaining the same order as we see right now. Mika having overtaken MiniXXL, and MiniXXL dropped down to P6, Alpha P4, Mika P5, and it's going to be over. Ooh, MiniXXL nearly made something happen, but it didn't actually when it wasn't to be. So Tricky wins map number 6 in front of Bresso, Yapso, Alpha, Mika, MiniXXL, Sheeps, Shad, Snatix, and Freeze. So, placements are now done. What we're gonna do right now is, well, we got a little bit of time before the matches are actually made and the matches will start. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a bit of a quick break. We're gonna take a few minutes of break while we wait for the matches to be done and to actually be set up, and then we're gonna actually delve into the one of the 2 top 32 matches that are going to be happening. So, I'm also going to take the chance to hydrate myself because my throat is kind of like running dry. So, we're going to take a break for a few minutes. Stay with us. I'll be right back. Alright guys, we're back after a little bit of a technical issue. I had a bit of a technical problem with my Menu Planet client. I had to restart it, but now we are actually back and we're going to be hopping into the game straight away because we actually found ourselves a server, which are currently on server number 2. And let's actually have a little bit of a rundown of the people who are going to be playing in this server. So, we find quite a bit of XLT players. We actually find 3 XLT players and 2 Game War players. So we find ourselves with Link, Volnera, and Afi. Volnera currently sitting in P6 in the overall standings, and Afi currently sitting in 2nd place in the overall top 8 of the Open Grand League. Then we find Kenny T's Skydeer, sorry for the burp. Mixmod currently sitting, then we got Mixmod, then we got the point standings leader Gwen from Team Game Ward, along with his teammate Wuzil, currently sitting in P10 or P9, I think. Then we got Razi, who was so unlucky on map number 5, just like one of the fellow players, Bad Lulu. Then we got Mimo Jr. from Team Centauri, Wingo Bear, one of the streamers out there from Team Versatility. Then we got Raze from Team Elementary, And then we got MiniXXL, Yavzo, Tricky, and Subtimal, but this match is starting right away with Up&Down. So let's actually see who actually gets the best start. So currently we're spectating Subtimal, won't still get to the wall shot. Subtimal hitting the wall a little bit here. Let's see if nobody fails the first pillar jump here. Let's see actually how everyone fares. Afi currently having a little bit of a lead, but still battling with Gwen. Number 1 and 2 of the overall standings are actually battling it out here. Volnera in the right pack in 6th place. So let's actually see how everyone fares throughout the lap, and especially at the identity, which was the former Guillotine, which has now become a get out of jail free card, remember. This is not as punitive as it used to be. So then, currently we see Subtimal in 14th place, just behind Mimo Jr. Mimo and Yavzo also having a little bit of a moment there. Not really particularly his specialty, Dirt. Yavzo is more of a tech player. I have actually been a teammate for a rather short period of time. We have been teammates in the same team as part of Blue Jay-Z Sports, if I recall correctly. Anyways, that's for another time. And oh, actually Race flips, and that's going to drop him down severely as he tried to actually jump to the booster. And we're going to be following Link right here as he goes into the identity for the first time with the rest of his compatriots. Let's actually see who fails. Gwen gets it perfectly. Actually, Link fails. Oh, he gets it really nice, just about. But he's going to drop down to 12th place right now. So, after lap 1, it is going to be Gwen, Wozil, Vulnera, Tricky, Dog, Afi. Dog has been made a mistake. It's overtaken by Tricky. Then we got MiniXXL, who actually gets into the identity finally in P16. And as of lap 1, the fastest lap of the race actually goes to Gwen, by evidence, and then we actually see Wozil putting up a bit of a fight with his leading teammate. It seems as though team orders are not the order of the day. Volnera currently sitting in P3, battling with Tricky from Versatility on P4. Tricky currently sitting in P8 in the standings, remember. Volnera is ahead of him, so he's going to try to do the best he can to actually avoid Tricky, having Tricky overtake him. Gwen gets the fastest lap of the race in lap 1 with 1:14.525, and actually Volnera overtakes Tricky back as he made a mistake and actually drops a few other places as well. And Tricky finds himself down in P7 behind Mimo Jr. Let's actually see who clears the jump. Let's actually go for Wingo Bear here. Let's see. Oh, actually, we see some people flip. Mimo Jr. has to respawn. Afi still remains on the road, but I wonder if he is forced to respawn as well. Let's actually see. No, the XLT player still remains in contention, but he's still in P9 right now. Gwen in first place gets the identity perfectly. We got Vulnera as well, Dog as well, Wozil as well, Tricky as well, Razzie as well. Gets it perfectly. Then we got Wingo Bear, Raze overtaking Yavzo for P9. Yavzo has made a mistaken identity. He's forced to respawn it, so that's why he's falling down the order so quickly. Vulnera actually taking the lead. Dog in 2nd place, and Gwen has made a mistake. He's down to 4th place, but he's only half a second down on the Group 3 battle here. We see Wozil, Dog, and Vulnera battling it out so fiercely for the lead of the race here on map number 1. And we're already, after 2 laps, we already have a 38-second gap, and I'm suspecting that we could see over a lap of a gap between first and last very shortly. Wozil having a bit of a moment on the dirt like last week, and that's going to allow Glenn to slingshot him, and Dog and eventually Volnera to get back into the lead. Race the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1:11.491, and Gwen gets back to his rightful spot in the lead. 3 tenths in front of Wozil and Dog are currently in the battle, and Volnera as well. And actually, Wozil having a little bit of a bad landing here, but he could potentially make it up on the following section. Volnera not having the pace that he should be, or actually does he? Wozil makes a little bit of a mistake, and Dog as well. That's going to allow Volnera to potentially put up a fight as they go into the identity now. Oh, Wozil fails it! Wozil is going to have to go the slow way and respawn, and that's going to drop him down the order and deny him valuable points. Gwen still crosses in 1st place, Volnera 2nd, Tricky 3rd, Raze actually 3rd, and Tricky has made a mistake as well. He drops down to 6th place. Raze 3rd, Wingo Bear 4th, Razzie 5th, Trick 6th. Then we got Dog 7th, Link 8th, Afi 9th, and completing the top 10 so far is Mixmod, Subtimal 11th, 12th place for Yavzo. Wozil falls down to 13th place after that identity fail that cost him so dearly. Then we got Mimo Jr. in 14th place, MiniXXL in 15th place, and bringing up the rear is Skydeer, 40 seconds down on the leader. But so far we haven't seen a lap of a gap for now. We're gonna have to see how the fastest lap will stack up. Volnera having a slow dirt part, and that's going to allow Gwen to draw significantly ahead, and he gets the fastest lap of the race on lap 3 with 1:11.373, 2.6 seconds of a gap, 3.2 now in between Gwen and Volnera. Gwen having quite a bit of a buffer, but he still cannot really afford to make a mistake on the part that matters the most, which is basically the identity now, as he goes in it for the 4th time out of 6. And he gets it perfectly. Let's actually see how Volnera fares. Ooh, he's all rather too close, but still, Volnera makes it 3.8 seconds behind the leader, though. Then we got Tricky in 4th place, Raiz in 3rd place, Razi 5th. Actually, Dog made the mistake, and he's forced to actually go the slow way, and that's going to drop him down even further. Now, Razi is battling with Raiz, and Raiz actually has to respawn. He actually turtles into the checkpoint, but still, he drops down to 6th place. Link in 5th place. Asfi even overtakes Raiz for 6th, and yeah... Raiz gets overtaken left, right, and center. Meanwhile, Gwen still remains in the lead with a staggering 5-second advantage over Volnera. Volnera is 2.2 seconds ahead of Tricky in 3rd. So far, it is a French top 3, but will it remain that way with 2 passages in the identity left? We'll have to see. Let's actually see a little bit of people further down the field. We got Subtimal currently sitting 16 seconds behind the leader. We got also Yavzo and WaveBreaker battling together. WaveBreaker not having the best time on the dirt. And Gwen, again, with the fastest lap of the race, this time on lap 4, with 110.717. One of the first, for the first time that we see a 110 popping in this step. Let's actually see the identity. Gwen gets it perfectly for the second to last time, for the penultimate time. And now we go into the final lap. Gwen into the lead. Volnera in 2nd place. Tricky actually having to respawn now, and that's going to drop him down. Razi 3rd place. Link in 4th place. Afi in 5th place. Mixed Mod, oh, he's forced to respawn. And that's going to be dropping him down. Wingober 6th. Raiz in 7th place, still hanging in there. But we are already closer to the lap of a gap that we're going to be seeing between first and last, with 56 seconds between Skydeer in 16th place and the leader, Gwen from Team Game Ward. The leader in the overall standings at his rightful place, Volnera in 2nd place, 6.7 seconds down on the French player. Razi, 3rd place, yes, almost 10 seconds behind. Then we got XLT's Link and Afi in 4th and 5th place, the 2 teammates sticking together. Although a little bit of a buffer between both Link and Afi, 1 second of a gap between the 2 players, as Gwen is set to get to the identity for the final time. And we also saw Skydeer's name on the top, which means that he's about to get lapped. If he fails the identity, we're gonna have to see how everything happens. Gwen with the 111.1019 still is the fastest man on track, even though that's not the fastest lap of the race with the 110.717. Gwen gets to the identity perfectly. Ooh, almost flips, but he's gonna win the map with ease. Gwen finishes in 1st place, ahead of Volnera, who claims his 14 points. Then we got Razi in 3rd place, who crosses the line. Then we got Link and Afi, who Link manages to retain his advantage on Afi. Link 4th, Afi 5th, Raiz 6th. Then we got Wingo Bear in 7th, Tricky finishes in 8th place overall. Then we got WaveBreaker, Yavzo finishes in P10, Subtimal 11th, Dog 12th, Mixmod 13th. Luxodica is about to cross the identity, and then WaveBreaker actually gets the fastest lap on, is the fastest man on lap 6 with a 111.595. But the fastest lap of the race is by none other than Gwen with a 110.717. So, Nixonica through the identity, he gets it perfectly this time around and finishes in 14th place. Then we got Mimo Jr. crossing the identity as well. Let's see. Oh, and actually, he's going to have to go for the slow way here. Let's actually see if Skydeer can do anything better. But it seems as though Skydeer is a bit too far away to actually worry Mimo Jr. And that's going to be allowing him to actually secure 15th place as we hear this cheeky breaky donkey horn in the background for Mimo Jr. as Skydeer gets into the identity, but he's gonna fail it and he's forced to actually go the slow way for the slow drop downs. Let's actually see if he fails it. Oh, actually goes for the backflip and lines it perfectly and crosses the line in P16. So, Gwen, Volnera, Razi, Link, Afi, Raiz, Wingo Bear, and Tricky is your first top 8 after map number 1. And we're gonna be delving into the second map, which is going to be Directionless in a little while. So Gwen 20 points, Volnera 14, Razi 12, Link 10, Afi 9, Raiz 8, Wingo Bear 7th, and Bear 7, and Tricky 6. So we head into map number 2, which is Directionless by MD Point, and as I already pointed out last week, this particular no steer is probably the bane of the existence of most players. Just one simple mistake in the aim could result in either a wall clip for the luckiest, or for the most unlucky, it could warrant a full stop and a respawn, which could cost around 3 to 4 seconds every time you do a respawn. So that can add up really quickly, as we saw last week with Bad Lulu losing so much in that step. So we're currently sitting with Sky here, who did not have the most auspicious of starts in the first map, finishing in last with 1 point and having multiple fails in the identity. But the good news is now we don't have to actually go through Up and Down ever again, since this is the last time that we actually play the map for this particular qualifying step. So all good now. So far Gwen starting off strongly with a 20-point haul. Then we got Volnera picking up some valuable points that could actually be beneficial if he manages to actually go with the plan and actually manage to score finishes in the last 4 maps, in the last 3 maps rather, to actually get the points safely back home and warrant himself a good spot on the final ranking. So 25 seconds remaining in the warm-up as they go into the final transfer right here. One more jump, across the line to start a new lap, and drop down immediately right there on this slope to gain as much speed as possible for the first checkpoint. So 10 seconds remaining. Gwen, Volnera, Razi, Link, Afi, Raze, Wingobear, and Tricky, your top 8 after map 1, and we're about to head into map 2. Good luck, have fun, everyone. The GLHFs are finally being dropped in, and we're going to be spectating Razi from Team Molotovs and Marshmallows for the start of this round. So as we see, starting off with this engine kill section here, go towards the inside here, and then cross the first checkpoint to actually regain the control of the engine. Dog having a little bit of a moment getting the whole shot after CP1, followed by Tricky and Afi. And we see the Exalti bunch, the 3 Exalti players, being grouped together as they cross the first 2 checkpoints. And we go into the first no steer right now. Volnera having pulled a little bit of a lead, and he gets the first aim perfectly. And seems as though nobody has seemed to have failed. No, actually, none of the big scores seem to have failed tremendously, but Volnera is now on his least favorite part, the dirt, and Gwen actually manages to gain some ground on both Volnera and Razi, and he's now battling with Volnera for the lead, but he actually wall touches right here, and that's going to drop a lot of momentum. Let's see if he can just clear the transfer. Yes, he does so. Let's actually see if he glitches the wall. No, he doesn't, but that drops him down to P10. That simple mistake, that simple wall rush, just dropped enough momentum for him so that the others could actually scoop by. Then we got the final point of the identity, which is the transfer U-turn right here. And completing lap number 1, it is going to be Afi in the lead in front of his teammate Volnera and Link. Afi, so with having the fastest lap of the race with a 1:11.871, and Exalti 1, 2, 3 actually. Not a French 1, 2, 3, and Team Exalti 1, 2, 3. And Dog currently sitting in 4th place, half a second behind the leader. Then we got Raze and Yavzo, as well as Tricky battling with each other. It's still remaining fairly open at this point with 10 to 11 drivers within a second. And actually we see a big fail by Raze, who is actually still remaining, still able to clear that path, but he's going to be dropping down behind Subtimal, so that's going to be dropping him down to 13th place. Sonic are currently sitting in 14th place, battling with Mixmod. Sorry. So, back up to the front, Volnera in the lead from his teammate Afi, but actually Volnera has dropped a little bit of momentum compared to his teammates. He still clears the jump though, and Game Ward's Gwen actually manages to slot into the 2 and potentially overtaking Afi for the lead. Let's see here, they're neck and neck. Gwen heads first into the identity. Let's see how he does it. He does it perfectly, but Afi having a little bit of a better time through here, but that's not going to matter. Gwen has got more momentum than him, and Gwen takes the lead in second in lap number 2, with Afi in second, Volnera 3rd, Doc 4th, Link 5th, Yavzo 6th, Tricky 7th, and Wuzil currently sitting in 8th place. Really different course of action for the two. Gwen seems to have been taking the lead every single time. He really likes to get up front and lead away, as we're going to be seeing him through the first no steer here. He gets it perfectly. Volnera having to respawn. He full stopped just as a switch to counter him, and he's forced to respawn again, and he's going to have to respawn potentially again. No, he's going to go for the safe way. 107.360. Gwen gets the fastest lap of the race, but Volnera drops out of contention for the big points that are so important in this early phase, and that's going to drop him down to 13th place and 14th and even 15th place as he gets overtaken by Noxotica. Currently, Gwen over the first transfer here, and that's going to be looking good. Afi in 2nd place, Dog 3rd, Tricky 4th, Wuzil 5th, Razi 6th, Yavzo 7th, and Mimo Jr. in 8th place so far. Mimo Jr. having a bit of a regain of form after the poor first map that he had. As they go into the identity once again. Nicely made by most of the players. Ooh, actually, Yavzo having a bit of a dodgy landing, and that's going to drop him down 2 places is as he gets overtaken by both Rozzy and Mimo Jr. Gwen still in the lead after lap number 3. Afi in second, Dog third, Tricky fourth, Wooziel fifth, Rozzy sixth, Mimo Jr. seventh, and Yavzo completes the top 8. Mixmod in 9th place, 6 seconds behind the leader, battling with Raze. Then we got Link a little bit further behind, Wingo Bear in 12th, Suptimal in 13th, Volnera in 14th place after that early fail. Gwen gets through the first nose steer perfectly. Everybody behind seems... Oh, actually, Wooziel will clip the wall, and that's going to drop him down 2 places as he gets overtaken by both Mimo Jr. and Rozzy. Rozzy having less momentum on the dirt than Mimo Jr., and Mimo Jr. is able to overtake him, but the battle is not over yet. Gwen with his 107.649 still is the fastest man on track with the fastest lap of the race, and Afi has a really great mistake here, and that's going to drop him out of the contention for the lead here, and that's going to pretty much gift the win to Gwen unless he makes another mistake. The Swiss driver drops to 6 seconds behind the leader. Such a shame for the XLT driver who seemed to have gone so good. And now Gwen has plenty of a buffer between him and Tricky. Over 2 seconds at some checkpoints as we see him go through the identity once again. Crosses the finish line with 2 seconds of an advantage between him and Tricky. Tricky in second. Rozzy up in 3rd place. Rozzy seems to have a bit of a regain of form as well compared to the last time he played this map, in which he actually failed the identity twice or even 3 times on the last lap, but that could potentially change today as we actually see Rozzy and Mimo Jr. battling it got together for 3rd place. Remember, 3rd place is still a good points payout. It's still 12 points on the table. Rozzy and Mimo Jr. are the neck and neck, and it seems as though Mimo Jr. has got a little bit more speed, and the battle is still going to be set to continue. 107.601, fastest lap of the race again for Gwen. This map just gets them on. He's racking them up. He racks up lap after lap after lap on the penultimate lap right now. We got the transfer to go once again, which is basically the first part of the identity for now, as we go into the twist and the 180 for the final time. 3 seconds of a gap, over 3 seconds between him and Tricky now. The penultimate time that we see this identity, and Gwen gets it perfectly. He doesn't actually hit the pillars, and he's going to start the final lap with over 3 seconds of a buffer between him and Tricky in 2nd place. Then we got Mimo Jr. in 3rd place, Dog in 4th place, Afi in 5th place. Rozzy must have made a mistake and gets overtaken by Link. Link in 6th place, Rozzy 7th, Mixmod 8th, Wooziel 9th, and Raze in 10th. Then we got Wingo Bear, Yavzo, then we got Suptimal, Nixotica, then we got Volnera, and Skydeer rounding out the top 16. Then we got Tricky having a bit of a wall clip here, so that's going to drop even more time to Gwen. But that should be actually he drops a lot of momentum and he gets overtaken by both Mimo Jr. and Dog for P2 and P3. As of lap 5, Gwen is the fastest man on the track with a 107.358. Could we potentially see a low 107? And so we already saw 107. Could we see a 106? That could be actually really interesting as Afi drops a few other places and he drops down to P8. The Swiss driver not having the best time right now, even gets overtaken by Wooziel for P9. So yeah, Rozzy currently sitting in P5, Tricky in P4, Dog in 2nd place as he got overtaking Mimo Jr. as Gwen gets into the identity for the final time for this particular map, and that's going to be another map win for him with 5.5 seconds of a gap between him and Dog in 2nd place. Dog is going to cross the line in 2nd place, and actually Mimo not having much speed, and he gets overtaken by Tricky. Tricky 3rd, Mimo 4th. Then we got Rozzy 5th, Link 6th, Mixmod 7th, Wooziel completes the top 8, Raze in 9th, Bingo Bear in 10th, Yavzo 11th, Afi is still could go through the identity. Then we got Suptimal in 12th, Afi in 13th place, 107.619. Again, Gwen holding the fastest laps of the maps every time. Afi in 13th place. Then we got Nixotica, who's going through the identity right now, and he's going to finish in 14th place. Then we got 15th place, Skydeer, who lists on the bottom of the leaderboard. And then we got Volnera, who seems to not have had the best map he could have had, and possibly the worst map right now, finishing dead last, 41 seconds from the leader. So, 2 maps down, and we're already having a little bit of a shift in terms of the ranking. So Gwen still remains in the lead with 40 points, but then we're going to see quite a big change as people are going to be collecting points left and right. Rozzy in 2nd place with 21, Dog in 3rd, Tricky 4th, and Link 5th equal with 18 points, then Volnera 6th with 15 points, Raze 7th with 13, and Mimo Jr. completes the top 8 so far with 12. As we're going to be heading into map number 3, the last of the Get Out of Jail 3 cards, I like to call them, because that's going to be the last 3 maps that are going to be are not really punished for any mistakes. The next map is going to be the money. Next maps are going to be the money time. So this is MiniXXL. The map is characterized by a no-grip U-turn that actually is then followed by a long drop down, and actually a little bit of airtime is actually required to actually clear the checkpoint and cross the start-finish line. So currently we got Gwen sitting in first with 40 points, then we got Razzie second on 21, Dog, Tricky, and Link third, fourth, and fifth respectively with 18 points to their credit. Volnera 6th with 15 points, Ray 7th with 13, then we got Mimo Jr., Wingo Bear, and Afi 8th, 9th, and 10th with 12 points. Then we got Wozil 11th with 11 points, and then we got Mixmod 12th and 10. And when we got the only single-digit players out there, Yavza 13th with 9 points. Then we got Siptimal 14th with 8 points, Nixotica 15th with 6 points, and Skydeer in 16th and dead last with 3 points. Thank you, Monsieur Octet. Thank you very much, man. I got a little bit of a special announcement coming up, by the way, at the end of the stream, so make sure to stay until the end. I got something really exciting to actually tell you, and to actually announce. As we're about to actually head into the identity of this map right now, as I said, we will be about to see different strategies. Some people will go to the outside of the hole, as we saw Nixonica doing, and some people will go towards the inside, although the inside of the hole is generally the preferred line for players, even though it does involve a little bit of a flick and initiating a drift a little bit earlier in order to actually get the right angle sufficiently early at the no-grip block. So, we're going to be about to start map number 3, and we're going to be spectating Volnera. Let's actually hope that the XLT player has a much better time this time around than he did on Directionless, which was map number 2. So everybody getting underway nice and easy. We're going to start off with this double outside pole, or double inside pole actually, drift for Volnera. Then we got this slalom in between the poles. Oh, actually Duck clips the inside, and that's going to drop him down the order. Gwen currently in the lead in front of Raze. Volnera, then we got Tricky and Link battling it out as well. And actually Gwen having not much of a great corner, and that's going to drop him down the order. And Link assumes the lead from Raze, and it seems as though Link is still remaining in the lead so far, but we're going to be heading into the dirt, and that could potentially work. Gwen makes his gains right there. Let's actually see a really tight and tricky dirt section. It's really easy to actually go a little bit overboard and go with a little bit too much angle into the corners and clip the insides of those chicanes and drop all of your momentum, and that's a surefire way to actually drop down the order. So currently Gwen battling it out with Raze. Raze currently sitting in the lead with less than a tenth of an advantage between him and Gwen. Volnera battling with Wozil and Link for 3rd place. Then we got Afi just behind as well. A really good pack so far as we go into the identity for the first time, and it seems as though Gwen has got a much better line than Raze. That's going to allow him to take the lead, and Link also manages to overtake Raze because of that Logi line. So Gwen in 1st place after lap 1. Then we got Link, Raze, Afi, Wozil, Volnera, Yavzo, and Razzie completing the top 8. Gwen gets the fastest step of the race as of lap 1 with 1:14.983. Siptimal currently in 9th place. Then we got Mixmod in 10th place, and Tricky currently sitting in P11, not having the great start. Wingo Bear in 12th place, Dog in 13th place, and battling with Wingo Bear. Actually, Wingo Bear makes a mistake, and that's going to drop him down the order again. Dog currently sitting in 12th place after his early mistake on lap 1. 4.1 seconds behind the leader, Gwen, who's currently still battling it out with Raze. Raze putting up a fight. The Slovak player from Elementary still showing that he's got what it takes to potentially get into that top 8, potentially. As they exit the dirt turn, ooh, and seems as though we have a bit of a wall clip from people. No, I haven't seen that happen. Volnera currently sitting in 6th place, having a decent start right now, even though he had a bit of a moment and a bit of an off map on the Directionless. Let's hope that he can actually make it better. So, on to the second time that we see this identity today. Everybody getting really nice and easy. Gwen with a bit of a wider line than Raze, I think, but Gwen has got a lot more momentum than Raze, and that's going to allow him to retain the lead. Raze still in 2nd place, Afi in 3rd place, Wozil in 4th, Link 5th, Volnera 6th, then Yavzo 7th, and completing the top 8 is Razzie with 21 points so far. Siptimal currently sitting in P9, Mixmod P10. Ooh, actually Mixmod has made a mistake, and that's potentially Dog scoots by him, bye-bye. Then we got Tricky in 12th. Then we got Momo Jr. 13th, Skydeer, Wingo Bear, and Nixonica complete the field. Raze with the fastest stop of the race with a 1:12.338, and Nixonica clips the inside of the hole, and he's going to be turning it round. Pull up a parking lot maneuver, parking lot U-turn, and then Tisco's car park U-turn, there you go, and actually be back on his way. Gwen, so far, having pulled a little bit of a gap between him and Raze. Raze not having as much, I think his best time on the dirt, and Gwen actually pulls 7/10 away from Raze. Gwen definitely asserting his dominance, and we're already over the second, and we see WaveBreaker actually dropping down. He must have made a mistake at the exit of the dirt, or clipped the wall before the booster, and that's going to be dropping him down to P9 behind Suptimal. Rossi in 7th, Yamzo in 6th place. Let's actually see a little bit further up the field how everybody gets on with the identity for the 3rd time here. Gwen getting really wide, getting a lot more momentum than everybody else, and remaining in the lead. Ray's still in 2nd place, and actually Ray touches the checkpoint and allows Afi through for 2nd place. Afi 2nd, Link 3rd, Volnera 4th, Yamzo 5th, and Razi and Ray's drops down to 6th place as a result. Razi still 7th, Rosiel still in P8. Oh, and actually Ray's still makes even further mistakes, and he gets overtaken by Wozil, and actually Volnera has made a mistake as well. Volnera, oh, and Volnera wall touching. He's not really having the best time. He seems like his mentality is kind of like shifting in the wrong direction. Gwen with the fastest lap of the race so far with 1:12.435. 1.5 seconds in front of Afi. Sorry, I was gonna say Gwen, half a second, 1.5 seconds in front of Gwen. Yeah. Come on, Thomas. Get your shit together. Anyway, so Gwen's still in the lead. Afi's in 2nd place, 1.6 seconds behind. Then we got his teammate Link, a full 2 seconds behind the leader. Then we got Razi 2 seconds behind Link, battling it out with Yapzo. Hey, Yapzo having a pretty good time so far on this map. Currently battling it out for P4 and 10 points grabbed against the Croatian player from Molotovs and Marshmallows. Yapzo currently member of Trackmania Heroes Europe. Gwen getting through the identity perfectly. Afi as well. Link as well. It seems as though the identity is not really that much of a miss for most players. Except maybe for Raze, who actually clipped the checkpoint. Let's actually see anyone else who does that. No, and actually Raze has learned from his mistake. And as of lap number 4, Gwen still in the lead, 1.5 seconds in front of Afi. Then we got Link in 3rd place, Razi 4th, Yavzo 5th, Wozil 6th, Raze 7th, and Dog in 8th place. Then we got Volnera just behind, and actually Dog has dropped a little bit of momentum compared to Volnera. No, it was just an illusion. Seems as though Dog will retain his 8th place for the time being, as Volnera is looking to get some pace back together and get back into that top 8, and Raze, ooh, really flirting with the limits here. 1:12.357 grants the fastest lap of the race for Gwen. Once again, Gwen is just such a level above the rest in terms of this Open Grand League. I know that it seems like I'm stating the obvious, but it can't be stated enough. Gwen is such a great, one of such a great up-and-coming players. He cannot actually take part of the Grand League because he's actually too young. He's actually only 15 years old. That's the crazy thing about this. He's not the required 16 years old to actually take part of the Grand League. And that could potentially change if he manages to qualify for the summer, because his birthday actually happens just before the start of the Summer Grand League. So that's going to be pretty interesting to follow him on his way to potentially become one of the fastest and one of the greatest players of the day right here in Trackmania. Gwen attacking the final lap, 1.17 seconds in front of Afi. Afi in 2nd place, Link in 3rd place, Razi 4th place, Yauzo 5th place, Raze 6th, Volnera back up to 7th place, Dog has dropped down to P10, and he's battling with Mimo Jr. Get back P9, and potentially overtake some of the other Frenchies here. Volnera back down to P8 after he made a mistake and got overtaken by Wozil. Wozil in P7 now. Mimo Jr. having overtaken by Dog. Dog now back up to P9, and now in his sights is Volnera. 1:12.173 grants Gwen the fastest lap of the race on lap number 5 as he gets out of the dirt section as we speak and is set to cross the finish line in a matter of 20 to 30 seconds from now in 1st place and claim a clean sweep of 3 maps out of 3 so far, which is pretty staggering. Afi over 2 seconds behind Gwen now. Link over 2 seconds behind his teammate Afi. It seems as though we got a battle raging on. Actually, Wozil has dropped a few other places, and he's going to drop out of the top 8 as well. Let's actually see. Gwen gets to the finish line in 1st place, 2.3 seconds in front of Afi in 2nd place. Then we got Link, who will cross the line in 3rd place. Then Razi crosses in 4th, Raze 5th, Yavzo 6th, Volnera 7th, Dog gains back into the top 8, Mimo Jr. 9th, Wozil 10th, Tricky 11th, Mixmod 12th, Wingo Bear 13th. Let's see. Yes, Wingo Bear in 13th place. Then we got Siptimal following right behind him. Skydeer gets the identity. Gwen with a 12.178 gets the fastest lap of the race yet again. Skydeer crossing the identity right now to get into P15. And we got Nixotica, who will get down to P16 and cross the line, be the last of the finishers. He actually BMs at the finish line. Such a bad manner. Will he retire? Really weird from Exotica to actually behave that way, but we're at the end of the 3 scoring maps, and it seems as though he will potentially not. I wonder what is happening right now. I wonder why Why you do this? Why you do this? Enjoy. Oh, he's gonna BM for the full minute. Oh, the cheeky fucker. Sorry for the words. Sorry for the words, but yeah, he is just gonna BM and stay like that and chill for the remainder of the 45 seconds. And sorry for the tilted camera. That's due to the presentation of the map, and I couldn't actually put the camera back straight. And it turns out it's gonna be beneficial for most players, because one thing that you didn't actually know about the OpenGL is that actually there is no break. There's actually no break in between the first 3 maps and the last 3 maps, unlike the Grand League, which has a break of 6 minutes. Oh, and actually Exotica actually reverses. Yeah, so as I was saying, there is no break between the first 3 and the last 3 maps in the Open Grand League, compared to the Grand League, which has the actual Grand League, which has a 6-minute break in between the 2 sets of maps. So it seems as though they will actually get a little break, even though it's only a minute short. It's only a short minute. Exotica being the good guy and actually crossing the finish line to actually collect the point for last place. So Gwen still in the lead with 60 points to his credit. Then in second place, we will find Razi with 31 points. Link just 1 point behind in third place with 30 points. Then Afi fourth place with 26 points. Then Dog, Raze, Volnera, and Tricky complete your top 8 as we enter the money time and the 3 final maps for step number 4. So here we are, folks. The money time has started. We're starting off with map number 4, which is going to be WaveBreaker. In terms of pace, we're things to expect from these guys. The average laps from training was actually around 117, around 1 minute 17s and the 1:18s, with the fastest lap of the race in the Grand League being held by Papu with a 1:17.576. There are a couple peculiar things that I would like to point out. We're going to be specking Gwen here for this particular one. There's going to be a CP jump, a jump that we actually saw in the placements earlier on, where you need over 420 kilometers per hour. Yeah, no, 420, right? In order to clear this one right here. Otherwise, if you don't have enough speed, you will actually clip the edge of the platform and actually bump up and lose a lot of speed that way. Then we got this series of corners, this right-hander followed by this left-hander, and then we got this left-hander right here, where people will go inside and actually clip the 2 edges of the track, which are actually the blue part, which are actually the same grip as asphalt. So that is going to be one of the ways to actually somewhat straighten the car just for a tiny split second, just to avoid actually glitching the wall on the outside and potentially send the car into a spin. Then we're going to go to the identity in terms of the waves, and you can see the clear distance is actually, the clear speed is around 200 kilometers per hour-ish for each jump. And then we got the final jump right here, where you need over 180 to 190 kilometers an hour to actually clear the jump in order to cross the start line and get back to start the lap. So currently, Gwen, Razi, Link, Afi, Dog, Raze, Volnera, and Tricky, your top 8 as map number 4 starts. Now, only 8 will survive. So we are starting. You can see at the top of the screen, be in the top 8. This is the goal to beat right now. So let's actually see if we can disable the chat. Yeah, there we go. So currently we have a little bit of a group start as usual in the first laps in Trackmania. So far, it seems as though everybody's still on a pretty ground level. Mixmod trying to make something happen, but ooh, it seems as though it's not really going to happen so far. It still remains in a good group though. Mixmod having pulled a little bit of the lead and gotten the whole shot in a few CPs, but Gwen gets back into the lead with Volnera and Link just behind him. Then we go into the first jump as right now. Ooh, and actually we actually saw someone fail. Let's actually see who drops down, and it's Volnera who drops down. 22 points could potentially be down to Dwayne, and that's going to be over for him right from the get-go, with 4.4 seconds of a gap between him and the 8th place driver, which is currently Raze. And there's going to be such a big pack right here, moving, fluctuating all the way around throughout this first lap before we get to the identity, and potentially for the subsequent laps as well. This group could still remain packed together as hell. And we see Link actually in that group getting into the outer skirts of it, and that's a bit dangerous for him. He's currently carrying 30 points to his name, and we actually see quite a few double digits here in the red zone, with 22 points for Tricky, 22 points for Volnera, currently down in 16th place and down for good, I think, since he is 11 seconds down on the 8th place player, as people clear the identity pretty much perfectly, except maybe for Gwen. Gwen has actually made a small mistake and drops out of the top 8, but he could potentially regain that place soon enough. So we're not going to be too worried. So after lap 1, Afi in the lead in front of Razzie, Link, Dog, WaveBreaker, Tricky, Raze, and Mimo Jr. completing your top 8 so far. Gwen in hot pursuit. As we're going to be waiting for the rankings, and Afi gets the fastest lap of the race on lap 1 with 121.725. Logical because he crossed the finish line first. The logic. Anyways, Gwen has been climbing back up into the top 8. He's currently sitting in 7th place, just in front of Mimo Jr. in 6th place. Ooh, yeah, 7th place, 6th place so far for Gwen. Did we see a big mistake by someone? No. Ray's currently sitting in top 8. Ooh, really low on the wall right there. Let's actually see if anyone in the top 8 fails this particular corner. No. Ooh, and actually Ray's drops a lot of momentum through here, and that's going to allow Tricky and Yapzo. Oh, and actually he clips, and that's going to drop him down and out of the top 8 so far. Yapzo overtaken by Tricky. Tricky sitting in P8 so far. 4 regiments in the top 8. This could still yet change, as we're only on lap number 2 and about to head into the identity for the 2nd time. Gwen back up to 3rd. First jump cleared for Gwen. That's actually, oh, and doesn't have enough speed for the 2nd jump. And actually teeters on the edge of actually turtling his car. And Tricky will actually scoot by him on the jump, and that's going to drop Gwen down to P9. MiniXXL having made a mistake as well, but that's gonna actually allow Gwen to get back up into the top 8, but he's still right on the edge of losing the 60 points that he actually accumulated over the course of the first 3 maps. That first clean sweep could have been all for nothing. Afi remaining in the lead, 1/10 in front of Razzie. Then we got Dog a little bit further behind. Razzie with the fastest lap of the race so far with 118.722. Razzie still piling the pressure on the Swiss driver from Team XLT. Both jumps are made perfectly. Let's actually see further down the field. Yeah, everybody. Oh, actually, Link having a little bit of a slowdown, and that's going to allow Gwen to scoop past him and get up to P7. And actually, Link drops down to P9 as MiniXXL also overtaking him. Raze as well. Let's actually see. Currently, Link is the biggest point scorer so far in danger. He's currently sitting in P10, 1.3 seconds behind Gwen, and Gwen's currently sitting in a hot seat in top 8. That could potentially be the undoing of the great leaders here for this particular server. Sorry for the brain farts, guys. My accent is going all over the place. You have no idea. You have absolutely no idea how much of a mess this is. Anyway, we're currently going to the identity for the 3rd time. MiniXXL with a bit of an aggressive line through there, and he doesn't have enough speed and will get overtaken by Gwen. And Ray's also having a lot more speed, and Mimo has forced respawn, and he's going to be dropping out of the top 8, and Septimal also overtakes him, so that's could potentially be a top 10 spot vanishing for Team Mimo Jr. Yeah, he's currently sitting in P11 with 2.4 seconds of a gap between him and Ray's currently sitting in P8, and Gwen trying to safeguard his points as much as he can. He's got a little bit of a buffer, but not that much. He's currently only 4/10 away from being back into the top 8 spot, and he's under the menace of Raze and Link, who are currently battling it out for that last point safeguarding position. Meanwhile, Afi, as of lap 4, remains in the lead in front of Razzie, Dog, WaveBreaker, Tricky, Gwen, MiniXXL, and Raze. I didn't actually see the rankings for the fastest lap of the race so far. Oh, there we go. 118.343, fastest lap of the race so far for Afi. Then we got Raze and WaveBreaker just behind in terms of lap pace, but WaveBreaker so far is in 4th place, and Raze is still battling it out, and he's actually dropping out of the contention right now. 22 points could be down the drain for this Slovak driver, as he's 3.1 second behind the 8th place driver, which is currently Link. Link is battling it out so hard to safeguard all those 30 points. Now, remember, this is only half the points count of Gwen, and Gwen could potentially be the one to lose the most here, because he's currently, even though he does have a 1.8 second buffer between him and Link, nothing is over. Everything can happen in Trackmania, and it usually does. So expect quite a few changes, as Dog is not going to have enough speed to clear the jump. No, he's not going to have enough speed, and he's going to be forced to respawn, and that's going to drop him down the order, and that's going to allow Gwen to safeguard his points even more, as well as Link, and he's going to be dropping out of the top 8. 24 points lost for Dog potentially as they enter into lap number 5. Afi in the lead, WaveBreaker 2nd, Razzie 3rd, Tricky 4th, Gwen 5th, Blank 6th, MiniXXL 7th, and Mimo Jr. in 8th place. Out of the big point scorers, we have Dog with 24 points in 11th place. Then we got Raze in 12th place with 22 points, and then Volnera currently sitting in P15 with 9 points behind the 8th place driver. And it seems that the Wingover seems to have made a major mistake, and he's currently 35 seconds down on the last point safeguarding position, which is currently held by Mimo Jr. And he's currently, oh, and actually he drops down. He failed. Oh, and Raze with, oh, and Raze has failed pretty hard as well. Gwen getting back the fastest up of the race with 118.339. Gwen currently sitting in 5th place just behind Tricky. It seems as though we are seeing more Frenchies than ever right now. 5 Frenchies in the top 8 in this first points safeguarding top 8 of the step, and it seems as though Gwen is not finished making his comeback as he overtakes Tricky for 4th place. But now we get to the identity part that Tricky seems to get much better than Gwen, and it seems as though, yeah, Tricky will use this opportunity to actually climb a little bit of speed there. Oh, he clips the wall on the inside, and it's going to allow Gwen to get back up ahead of him in 4th place as they enter the final lap. Afi still in the lead with 1.5 seconds of advantage between him and Wozil. 3rd place for Rozzy, then Gwen in 4th place, Tricky in 5th place, Mixbot in 6th place, Link in 7th place, and Dog in 8th place. Then we got Septimal in P9 with 11 points. Then we got Diafza also here as well, but Dog is currently not safe. He's battling it out with Septimal actually for the 8th position. So much battles going on at so many different places. Actually, Hafi has made a mistake, and that's going to allow another Game Ward player, but not the one we were expecting, Wozil to take the lead. Wozil in the lead in front of Rozzy in 2nd place and Afi in 3rd. Afi still remains safe for now. And it seems as though Gwen has safeguarded his points well enough, because apparently there's an 8-second gap between him and the 8th place driver. Sorry, Wozil having the fastest lap, being the fastest man on track on lap number 5 with a 118.425, as we enter the final lap in the identity for the final time on step number 4. Gwen and Afi battling it out. Gwen overtaking Afi for 3rd place, but now onto the identity part that Gwen did not master so good. It seems as though Afi will take advantage of it. Gwen is going to be safing it as his way into there and get overtaken by Tricky, as a matter of fact. And we see Wozil cross the finish line and get his first map win of the day. Wozil 1st, Rozzy 2nd, Avi 3rd. Gwen actually just overtake Tricky for 4th, Tricky 5th, Mixmode 6th, Link 7th, and Dog will safeguard his points just by finishing in the top 8. Then we got Suptimon crossing the line in P9, Skydeer in 10th, then we got Volnera in 11th place, Rozzy with the fastest lap of the Mimo Jr. in 11th place, Volnera in 12th place, then we got Nixotica 13th, and then we were waiting for the last drivers to cross. Then we got a 118.350 on the last lap for Rozzy, which steals the title for fastest man on the track, and we got Raze 14th place, Yavzo 15th, and we're currently waiting on Wingo Bear, who's going through the identity for the final time to cross the finish line and complete the list of runners. So far, it seems as though it has been pretty much damn meditation for the top, except maybe for the 2 other point scorers, which are currently sitting on 22, which are currently Volnera and Raze, who are going to be losing all of their points, and Gwen gets denied a map win. Well, 4th place is still a good points haul for him, and he's going to remain in the lead with 70 points after map number 4. 2nd is Rozzy with 45, Avi 3rd with 38, Link just 1 point behind on 4th place with 37, then Wozil, Tricky, Dog, and Mixbot complete your top 8 after map number 4. Moving on to map number 5 then, which is this one, which is JustSkidding. Sorry for the lackluster denunciation of the map, but anyways, as I already explained in the placement, but I'm gonna go again in depth into that, is the lead foot. The first time that we see this block here, what the lead foot does is that it essentially pins your throttle down, so full accelerator, and removes all of your brakes. So it's gonna be really important to actually manage the speed going into these dirt turns, because the goal is going to be to scrub off as much speed as possible, turn in as early as possible, while still being able to stay on the road and make the corner. And actually the name of the game will be to keep as low speed as possible in order to stay on the road. You're going to be seeing different strats from different players, as some people will actually just, as we see, most people will actually go on and slam the brakes to actually reduce their speed to just over 100 kilometers an hour just before they touch the block and actually start making their lines through there. And after this, that's for the first no grip, and at the second for the first left foot, and at the second left foot, they're gonna just let the car coast, not go straight on the accelerators across the checkpoint. They're gonna let the car coast towards the second left foot for that kind of same story of keeping as low speed as possible when you hit the block in order to not get surprised when turning in a little bit too late. And we're gonna go through here as you see Subtimal jumping on the brakes, getting down to even under 100 kilometers an hour, just to super safe his way through this particular sequence of corners. And you're gonna see he's gonna be lifting off the throttle and go onto the left foot, coasting into it in order to actually get some momentum back. And we got a few other things to say about this particular map in the match. So currently Gwen in first place with 70 points. Then we got Rozzy, Afi, and Link completing the top 4. Then Wozil, Tricky, Dog, and Mixbot complete your top 8 so far as we go into map number 5. Midway through the muddy time, anything can still happen. And we're gonna be spectating the points leader, Game Awards, when. So the first thing that we're going to be noting is the first checkpoint jump. So you can see the first checkpoint is a ring CP, and you can see it's actually cleared on the first lap. It will be cleared full throttle, but on subsequent laps, people will actually just lift slightly before before actually jumping in order to actually reduce the distance and the height of their jump in order to actually clear the CP, which is really tight tolerances. In terms of clear speed, we're talking a maximum of around 255 to 260 kilometers an hour, depending on where you're actually aiming at. Anything over that, and you're going to be hitting the CP and lose a ton of time. We see another jump that is going to be pretty critical here, which is this jump that we saw Gwen do, which is basically skipping over a small engine killer. And the key to that is actually to go get as much speed as possible. So in the corner, on the dirt corner before, you're going to see people going a little bit wide and go up into the banking to actually carry as much speed into the corner as needed. So we're going to be saying who fails the identity. We see Volnera also having to respawn here. It seems as though the main leaders are going in pretty smoothly. Razi currently in the lead and crossing the line in first place. Gwen in second. Then we got Afi in third place. It seems as though we got Wingo Bear also having a little bit of a struggle. Anyways, after lap number 1, it is Razi, Gwen, Afi, Link, Yavzo, Tricky, Muxmon, and NixXXL, your top 8. NixXXL having a regain of form after having lost all of his points. Razi currently the fastest man on track with a 109.762. So going back to that dirt jump, you're going to see people. Well, you're going to see some people actually going really wide, and we see also that part, that really dreadful part going between the checkpoints and between the triangles and the pillars of the checkpoints is potentially the fastest strat, but one of the riskiest as well. So you can see Yauzo going really wide to get as much speed as he can and actually try to clear the no jump. The no jump clear speed is definitely above 290 kilometers an hour, and that mileage can vary depending on how you actually attack the corner before. It can vary between 295 and 305 kilometers an hour, and potentially even 310. As we see Tricky, Link, and Dog having made mistakes early on, and Link is currently at jeopardy of losing his 37 points. Let's actually see how he does his identity here. And he fails, he's forced to respawn, and that's gonna drop him down even further down the field. It seems as though Yasuo has made the same mistake as well. That's gonna allow some people to actually safeguard their points. Cricky currently sitting in the hot seat with 31 points, currently in 8th place, but he's currently certainly safe from Dog, who's the other point scorer at risk with Link, and Link is forced to actually accept the defeat right now, at least as far as those points are concerned for this lap. Unless another mistake crops up, it could be and that could potentially be 37 points down the gutter. Gwen in the lead in front of Afi, Razi, and NixXXL. Lap 2, fastest lap of the race for Dog with a 106.944. Wozzel in 5th place. Then we got Mixmod in 6th place. Tricky in 7th. Mimo Jr. in 8th. So we've got a pretty good group still. 3-ish seconds between 1st and 8th, which isn't too bad. You can see there's quite a bit of a train here formed around NixXXL especially. Let's actually see how that little train fares through the identity here. As we see Mimo Jr. having a little bit of a failure here. Let's actually see Tricky. Tricky seems to have gone fairly safely through there, and he's going to be slowing down, jamming on the brakes a little bit in order to actually get through safely. Gwen still in the lead after lap number 3 in front of Afi, Razi, NixXXL, Wozil, Mixmod, Mimo Jr., and Tricky in your top 8. Then 2 seconds further down on Tricky, we got Dog, currently sitting with 30 points. Link, 10 seconds behind top 8 with his 37 points. It seems as though he may try his best to actually claw positions from other mistakes, but it seems unlikely. So you see Gwen actually going for the full checkpoint and then go through the last 2 triangles, the last 2 pillars, in order to have as straight of a line as possible and gain as much time as possible. Currently, Gwen still in the lead with 1 second of an advantage, 9/10 in fact, between Afi and Gwen. Then we got Razi in 3rd place, battling it out with NixXXL, the American driver, having a really good pace here on this particular map. Gwen, the fastest lap of the lap again, with the fastest lap of the race with a 106.595. Wozzel currently sitting in P5, battling it out with Mimo Jr. and Tricky having, and actually Razi failing out and dropping out of P4, and that's going to be dropping him down to P7 as he gets overtaken by both Tricky, Mimo Jr., and Wozil. And let's actually see some of the risky lines. They're actually going right on the edge, right on the ragged edge of that dirt road, and potentially fall, but that's still everybody clear so far. And actually Tricky has made a mistake, and he is dropping down to P9, and he got overtaken by Dog, and Dog is now the one who's going to be in the hot seat, and Tricky the one to actually chase that dream of safeguarding those points, as we're on the penultimate lap now. Gwen in for first place, 4/10 in front of Afi. Then we got quite a big big buffer between Afi and Nixxodica. Over 3 seconds of a gap between the Swiss and the American driver. Then we got Mimo Jr. in 4th, Garzi 5th, WOZL 6th, then Mixmod 7th, and Dog in 8th. And Dog has made a mistake through here, and that's going to be allowing Tricky to scoot it by him and get back into 8th place and safeguard potentially those 31 points. Dog back down to 9th, then we got Link in 10th. Dog seems to have had plenty of slow pace here as Raze gets the award for fastest man on track so far with a 106.724. Tricky still remaining in 8th place as we see people going into the identity. Let's see out of this group who actually gets it the better. It seems as though people seem to have gone clear through it. Oh, Mixmod getting with a bit of a bump here, dropping a little bit of extra speed, and Tricky having to respawn here. That could potentially allow Dog to actually overtake him, and yeah, it's done. Tricky back down to 9th place on the final lap, no less, so that could potentially spell disaster for the versatility player, as he is set to lose 31 points, along with Link looking set to lose 37 points. Although Link has made the junction to Tricky, it seems as though Tricky has made even more mistake and has dropped 3.5 seconds to Dog after being overtaken. But although beating another Frenchman could be a meager consolation for Link here at this point, as Gwen is about to actually enter the identity for the final time and has a little battle here with XLT's Afi, who has been gaining on him every single lap. It seems as though it's looking pretty exciting for the lead battle as well, as they are going into the identity for now. Let's actually check the perspective from Afi to see how everything goes. Afi negotiating that really well, Gwen as well, but Afi having more momentum, and Gwen slamming on the brakes voluntarily, and that's going to allow Afi to win the map as well. Afi first map win of the day. Gwen in 2nd place. Then we got Razi in 3rd place, Mimo Jr. 4th, WOZL 5th, Nixxodica 6th, Mixmod 7th, and Dog battling with Subtimal. No, actually Dog manages to safeguard his points. Then we got Tricky in 9th place and Link in 10th place. 31 and 37 points down the drain. Afi getting the fastest lap of the race with a fastest lap on lap 6 with a 107.038. We have Zo 11th, Raze 12th, Skydeer set to finish in 13th place as they are going to go through the identity. Onto the second left foot. Everything's pretty controlled for Skydeer, who's going to cross the line in 13th place. Then we got Volnera, actually going for the risky line, and he's going to be respawning here. And now, Wingo Bear overtakes Volnera for P14, Volnera P15, and now we're just waiting on Subtimal to complete his lap. He's actually approaching the final third of the lap right now with the identity remaining. As Subtimal goes through the identity one final time. Controlling everything so far. Will he go for the risky strap of Volnera? No, he actually manages to safe it over the line. He goes, crossing the line in 16th place. And so, the ranking will change once again as we see both Tricky and Link lose all of their valuable points, 68 points combined down the drain, and Gwen will remain in the lead once again. 84 points for Gwen in 1st, then Afi 2nd with 58, Razi 3rd with 57, WOZL 4th for 45, then Dog, Mixmod, Mimo Jr. and Nixxodica complete your top 8 as we go into the final map of the step. And this map, it is ContestDiving. We're going to delve a little bit into it as the warm-up gets on. So this particular identity is divided into 2 parts. First off is this grass slide U-turn surrounded by water. You're going to have to judge the distance of the jump, and you're going to have also to judge when to actually initiate your grass slide if you want to actually be successful. And there are actually 2 ways you can do the grass slide that you're going to be able to see. The first one is to get the safe way and actually stay in the middle, stay within the grass and grass, which is the safest, but also potentially the slowest one, and actually scrub off the remaining speed on the outside curb. And the other one would be to actually clip the inside of the first turn and get on your back wheels. The effect of that is that actually a grass slide on your back wheels actually makes your car rotate a lot faster and allows you to have a much tighter turn and potentially gain a lot more time just through that. Then in terms of other things to cover, let's see. we got a CP7, so we can actually see, we're gonna actually see a few things that I wanted to actually talk about, especially a wallbang on CP8, which we're gonna see a few other players do right here. So you can see some people will actually go for the strat. You can see Tricky and Razi going for the wallbang and subsequently failing the corner after that. Well, although it's not that much of a risky wallbang, it's I think some people will actually try to go for it and some people will not. And I think it will actually save around a tenth or so going through this wallbang. Anyway, here is the identity. We're going to see what Mixmod does, and he's going to go for the safer strat, and you can see it's just about that wide enough. It's just about wide enough to actually remain on the road. And then we got the second part here, where you have to go to the inside and aim towards the right on the outside. Then steer the car left, and you can see that this is actually a pretty tricky jump to do. Steer the car left to actually, before the jump, to actually rotate the car so that you actually land on the grass and scrub up the remaining speed on the offside curb right there. So, final map. Anything can happen. Gwen so far with 84 points in this step out of the possible 100 he could have collected at the 5 maps. Let's see how he gets on with this final map, ContestDiving. Sorry. We're also going to be seeing something else that I wanted to talk about before CP number 7, I think, which is going to be coming up after this dirt part. So far, everybody being grouped together. Dog having the whole shot after CP number 4, if I recall correctly. CP5, CP6, Dog still remaining in the lead, battling with Affy and Volnera. So we're going to be seeing here. So here, the drift gets initiated just before the end of the booster, get right into the apex, and then just before the drop, rotate the car right to get an auto slide, and then a second auto slide right there, and continue the slide before the booster here for the wall ride. As we see Volnera that had actually had a bit of a moment there, and he's going to be dropping out of the top 10 for sure. He's going to be dropping down in P15, and he goes for the wallbang, trying to come up some time. And Dog actually failed the wallbang, and he drops down to P14. Now remember, everyone is still grouped up at this point, but still, that could potentially be a sign of things to come for the German driver if he continues those mistakes. Anyways, we're going to go on to the identity now. First part, the grass slide U-turn. Let's see if anyone fails it. Ooh, he got cleared pretty much by everybody. Let's actually see the second part right now as we see Razi go toward the left, then go toward the right, orientate the car, land on the grass, scrub up the remaining speed on the blue part, and cross the finish line as a result. So, actually, Razi having failed a little bit that first turn. Affy with the fastest lap of the race, with 124.047 in the lead. Currently, the Swiss driver in front of his teammate Link. Then Wozel, Mimo Jr., Gwen, Yavzo, Tricky. Tricky having made a mistake in full stop picking, and that's going to dropping out of the top 8 so far. Mixmod in P7 then, in front of Razi, the Croatian driver, currently sitting in P8 with 57 points, and he's currently sitting in the battle right here with Volnera. Volnera has nothing to lose. Razi has everything to lose with his 57 points that could potentially go down down the toilet. As we see Link and Affy still controlling the race from the front, but look out, Gwen is looking to regain his due prize, which is first place. He has won all first 3 maps so far. He could potentially win a 4th one in this particular step. Volnera currently sitting in P5. Oh, we see the order shifting quite dramatically as we see Wozil dropping down to P10 after a bit of a mistake that we actually missed on camera. And Mixmod, Ray is actually clinking the upper part of the checkpoint. Volnera with a risky strat, and we see a respawn. Who was it? It was Affy. Affy down in 11th place and down the order. 58 points that could potentially go down the drain once again. 15th place for Affy as Gwen inherits the lead. Sorry, words are hard, guys. Gwen inherits the lead in front of Link. Then we got Raze, Volnera, Mixmod battling it out with Volnera. Then we got Yavzo, Wozil, and Mimo Jr. The order is shifting quite rapidly. We got some big point scorers, some big clients that are really down in the danger zone. Gwen with the fastest lap of the race so far with 120.087. We see that 58 points. Affy has made a pretty critical mistake here, and he's certainly sitting down in P15, pretty sure to lose those points. Razi currently in P11, trying to climb back up the order and safeguard those 57 points, as Dog is currently doing with his points count of 36, currently sitting P8, but still under the pressure from Wingobear and Nixotica, who could potentially deny him the safeguard of these 36 points. Meanwhile, Gwen, everything at the front remains as it ever was. Calm, collected, and controlled. Affy, meanwhile, battling it out with his teammate Volnera. Both XLT drivers do not have anything to lose at this point, and their goal is just to grab as many points as they can, to grab as much points as they can towards the overall ranking. So, Mixmod currently sitting in P4th. Let's actually see if there are any further fails. Ooh, Volnera getting really close to actually dropping out of the water. It seems as though everybody got through pretty cleanly. Yep, it seems as though this is the case. Afi had a case of what might have been for the Swiss driver right now, as we are already on lap number 4. And we see that Gwen still remains in control, 1.5 seconds in front of Link, then Volnera in 3rd, Raze in 4th, and we see Wingobear dropping down the order, Raze in 4th, Mixmod 5th, Dog 6th, Wuzil 7th, and Yavzo in 8th place. Yavzo currently battling with Wingobear and Mimo Jr. and Razi. Razi has made the junction. He could potentially safeguard those 57 points again. Gwen again with the fastest man on track with the fastest lap of the race so far with a 120.783. Gwen still in the lead, 1.4 seconds ahead of Link. Let's actually see some of the other point scorers. Afi is definitely too far. Unless some big mistakes happen in the top 8, I do not see Afi actually safeguarding those points. Meanwhile, in the group here, for the battle for 8th place is still raging, and the one that could potentially safeguard all those points and has the biggest amount to lose so far is Razi, currently sitting with 57. He is the points. He is currently 3rd place in the overall standings, and he could potentially lose this place. And Razi makes a mistake as we speak, and that's going to drop him down to 12th place and drop him down even further potentially. Let's actually see if there are any fails. Volnera, oh, teetering on the edge of balance here, but still remaining on the road. Although that will drop him down to P6, although that won't really matter to him at this moment because he only has 2 points to his credit. Gwen, meanwhile, attacking the penultimate lap. Wuzil dropping down to 8th place. Now that could be the danger zone for the the other Game Ward driver in contention with 45 points to his account. Mimo Jr. currently sitting in P7. He's watching the battle between Volnera and Mixmod. Mixmod currently having a slight advantage, but Volnera getting a bit momentum than him, and the battle still rages on. Dog in 4th place with 36 points, having made a really good comeback from the rather teetering beginnings, and now sitting in a pretty safe 4th spot so far with his 36 points. Race with the fastest lap of the race with a 120.507, so Gwen might be in the lead, but we got someone that could be coming in hot and potentially steal 2nd place from Link, and that is the Slovakian player from Elementary. Oh, actually, Gwen having a little bit of a moment here at the wall ride. Still no harm done, and he's going to go for the drift, whereas Raze is going to go for the wall bang, as we see. There's a little bit of a difference. Wallbang could potentially save 1 or 2 tenths, and we see also Razi having made the junction with Wingobear with less speed, and that could potentially allow Razi to get back up to 8th, and he does! He overtakes the Frenchman to get back into the top 8 and the safeguarding points position that he was actually looking for, and let's actually see if he... Oh, okay, he clears the grass slide pretty much perfectly, but now he actually has much more work to do, and Afi could still remain in 2nd place! Afi has made the connection again, and he is actually looking at Razi, and potentially one could deny another, and now he's going to be all about Wingobear. Will he still be able to retain his 8th place, or will he succumb to the pressure put by Afi? And will the Swiss driver retain those 58 points in 2nd place in the standings? We'll have to see. And you can see the battle between Razi and Wingobear is raging at the moment. And let's actually go back a little bit to the front, as 3 seconds of a gap between Gwen and Raze. Gwen is pretty much safe at the front at this point. We're now gonna go back to the battle that matters the most. Mimo Jr. with the fastest lap of the lap so far with a 121.031, the fastest man on the track so far, sorry. And here we go. The battle is happening right now. Wingobear, Razi, and Afi. One of them will lose all their points. It seems as though Wingobear has dropped a little bit of momentum here. Afi in P7, Razi in P8. Afi with 58 points. Razi with 57 points in the overall standings. Let's actually see how everyone goes. It's for Wallbang for everyone. And Wingobear drops a little bit of momentum as well. That's going to allow a little bit of room to breathe for both the Swiss driver and the Croatian driver. But now here comes the identity. The part that cost so much to Afi on lap number 2 of this map. Let's actually see how everyone fares in here. Afi going for a really safe line. Razi, dropping a lot of momentum, but he's actually safe for now, and it seems as though the ranking will remain in the same place. Gwen 1st place, he's 2nd place for Raze. Oh, actually, Wuzil drops down! Unbelievable finish! Dropping down is Wuzil in mixed mode as well. 29 and 45 points down the drain for these 2 players. So, Gwen, Raze, Dog, Afi, Wingobear, Razi, Link, and Mimo Jr. complete your top 8 for this map. Then we got Tricky in 9th, Yavzo 10th, Mixmod 11th, Wuzil 13th, Nixotica 13th, Volnera 14th, Subtimal crosses the line in 15th place, and we got Skydeer, who actually misses the ring CP checkpoint, and he's gonna respawn here and cross the line in last position and only collects a meager point. Unbelievable scenes at the finish. At the moment where we thought that Wuzil was safeguarding it, he actually makes a mistake and drops out of the top 8 in the snap. Just like that. unbelievable finish. Anyways, after this particular step, 104 points for Gwen, who is your step winner. Then we got second place for Afi with 68 points, third place for Rozzy with 65 points, Dog fourth place with 48 points, Mimo Jr. fifth with 20 points, Ray sixth with 18, Wingo Bear and Link 7th and 8th equal with 12 points, Tricky 9th with 5 points, equal with Yapzo in P10. Then after step number 4, we've got the ranking as follows. Gwen continues to assert his dominance on the ranking with 39,865 points in first place. Then, some 300 points behind, we've got Afi in second place, followed by Yannick's in third place. Nice, so Afi 39,595 and Yannick's 39,335. Legu sixth in fourth place with 38,000 points dead. Good points, good progression from him. And now we got a surprise contender coming in here. Egir now comes into the ranking in P5 with 37,465 points. Trickies from Team Versatility is now up in 6th place with 37,070 points. Vulnera down in P7 and with 36,665 points. And Raze now climbs into the overall top 8 with 36,530 points. In 9th place we find Hydra with 36,400, and Rozzy sits in P10 with 36,270.